From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Fox 8 studios in New Orleans, this is the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Fazende, riding shotgun as he does each and every podcast. Is Andre Johnson.
Junior.
Not forget the Junior. Very important, remember the JR at the end of the name. Before we get into today's content, be sure to like, share, rate, review. If you are watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Get the bell notification for when we drop that fire content. And also, hello to the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. Glad you have found us here. Andre, if you're watching us on YouTube, it is Tuesday. If you're watching us on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, it is Wednesday. So if you're watching us on the network, I'm on my way up to California as we speak. If you're watching us on YouTube, here it is on a Tuesday. Interesting day. Saints back to work after that 126-play slugfest that we all watched Sunday after old Kellen Moore slow played us into the biggest practice. They were back today, called it a quote-unquote green day. Get back into it with full pads outside. Once again, cloud cover, little breeze out there. So all things being considered, the weather has not been bad for the Saints training camp. It's going to get a lot better, though, when they head out to the West Coast. First things first, though, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, and you guys talked to a few Saints. The Saints have been feeling good, out there. You mentioned the cloud cover. They're about to get a big trip to California where it's not going to be 98 and humid. So it's a good time to be a Saints player, and it's a pretty good time to be a Saints fan right now. I mean, as we've got an interesting quarterback competition going, and as we look into that quarterback competition, it's been Spencer Rattler, it's been Tyler Shuck, and Jake Haener has kind of felt like the third wheel of that quarterback competition, Sean. But as we move through these practices, this was day 11 today, does it kind of feel like this is finally becoming more of a two-man race between Rattler and Shuck?
Well, let's just go by the actual rotation of things. It was, day 1, Rattler. Day 2, Shuck. Day 3, Haener. Day 4, Rattler. Day 5, Shuck. Day 6, Haener. When it came back around that third time, would have been Sunday's practice. Jake Haener was not with the ones. Spencer Rattler was. Today, their next practice since Sunday's work, Spencer Rattler was back with the first team. Jake Haener was back with the third team. I don't know. It sure feels like to me, and by the way, Tyler Shuck got the second team reps today, and then they did that thing where they did with the scrimmage where at some point in the middle of, before the final period, they switched where Tyler Shuck got first team reps, Spencer Rattler got second team reps, and Jake Haener remained with the third team. Kellen Moore has not said this out loud, but it sure feels like to me this competition is pivoting more towards Rattler and Shuck. At some point this was going to happen, and at some point it needed to happen, and it feels like they have perhaps crossed that threshold now, because if you're going to keep the rotation going equally, well, Haener's down quite a bit with first team reps. Now, we should also point out Spencer Rattler has got the majority of the first team reps if you add up all the practices and obviously the last 2 practices of work. So we don't know for certain, and I guess Thursday's practice will be a telltale sign, because you don't know if Sunday was just a special category and it just started back over today. Seems a little unlikely, but it felt like it would be Haener's turn at some point. So it certainly feels like to me that now they are really veering more towards Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck. And look, I think Haener's had some nice moments. In fact, I thought he had decent practice today. I really did. We'll get into the quarterbacks today. I thought he had decent practice today with the third team. But I think right now, the reps are so valuable, and you really need to decide who your starter is going to be. And if you know Haener is not going to be that guy, then you got to give the majority of first and second team reps to the 2 guys that you think is going to ultimately come down to. So that's what it feels like to me. I don't know that for sure. But if it is the case, well, to me, this was kind of bound to happen at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is kind of getting whittled down to a two-man competition now. Obviously, you can never say never, because the guy who started the season as QB3 last year was Spencer Rattler, and he went on to start 6 games. So the more depth you have, the better, when it comes to Jake Haener. But, we talked about Spencer Rattler having to do so much above and beyond to beat Tyler Shuck, because this is the coaching staff that drafted Tyler Shuck. If that was true for Rattler, and by the way, he's done that so far, Haener had to go even beyond that to really work his way into this competition. And while he's had good days at practice, while there have been a few days where you've left and said, you know what, Jake Haener was the best one out there, he hasn't gone so far beyond Spencer Rattler or even Tyler Shuck at this point to where we can say, yeah, hey, like, you have to take a legitimate look at Jake Haener for this starting quarterback job. And I mean, when it comes to Helaire, I've said it before, he's a practice phenom, he's a training camp Hall of Famer, he's a metairie maestro, but when he gets into the actual games against enemy competition, it has not clicked like it has on the practice field. So preseason, because I'm sure he'll get some time during preseason, that'll be where you see what you really need to see from Jake Helaire, because I don't think it's going to happen on the practice field. And also, you guys have talked to over the last 2 weeks about 20 Saints players. Every Saints player that you talk to that you brought the quarterback competition up, if you listen hard enough, they say, yeah, I'm looking forward to the battle between those two. Those two guys have been going head to head. Those two. I don't think the team's looking at it as a three-man competition either. I think eventually and soon, if not already, this is really going to come down to Rattler versus Shuck.
Yeah, and while we're at it, let me just say, there's still value for Helaire to get third-team reps. Here's why. Despite him not being, or may eventually not be a part of the, we don't know if it's official yet, part of the race for the QB1 title, him as a third-teamer really elevates everyone around them that are getting third-team reps. So it elevates the receivers, it elevates the tight ends, it elevates the DBs, it elevates the safeties, it elevates the defensive line, because he is such a good practice player. And because he's such a good practice player and he's doing it with guys that need to get better, they're trying to climb up the depth chart, he's actually helping those guys' reps be much better because of his efficiency running that third team. I just think with the first and the second team, I think you can see he's a little limited physically. I think he's probably the fastest processor of all the three, but he's a little limited physically. And then, look, everyone's a little scarred from the last 2 seasons with the preseason games and obviously his 1/2 of a start last year. So that's where Helaire currently sits, and like we said, probably the right move. As for the battle today, we said Sunday, QB battle, if you will, competition, whatever. We said Sunday we felt like it was the first day Shuck outplayed Rattler. Well, today, I don't know that either one of them had a great day. I think both of them had some moments. I think both of them had some completions, but both of them had some questionable throws. Tyler Shuck had a couple. I thought what he did well today, maybe he hadn't done all camp, was he climbed the pocket pretty well. Had a couple nice plays where he worked the middle of the field. I've told you that's where he needs to grow from a vision standpoint. Had a throw to Dante Pettis, another one to Kevin Austin that was dropped. Had a nice play on a rollout to Chris Olave. However, he made some poor decisions. He nearly got picked off in the final team period by might have been Howden, and then he was picked off by Howden on one of his last throws of the game of practice where, look, he telegraphed it a mile away, and the route was a little messy, but he telegraphed it a mile away. He went over the top, tried to go deep, and Jordan Howden had plenty of time to get over, run down the interception on a little bit of the overthrow. So in Rattler's case, he was almost picked off early by Alontae Taylor on a throw that was a little hot to Alvin Kamara. And in fairness, forgive me, but Shuck and Rattler in the last period, where Shuck got the ones and Rattler got the twos, they were going on at the same time. Yeah. So I wasn't able to see as much from Rattler in that last period. So I wasn't quite sure how his day finished out. But I do think now that I think it's slowed down a little bit for Tyler Shuck, now we can evaluate some things. And I think there's some things that we need to evaluate from him. For one, I still think while it has slowed down, he's still a little slow processing. A little slow. He's getting better at that, but it's like a little slow to decipher the coverage and go. I would say Rattler's a little bit quicker when it comes to the processing game. I would say there are times both players struggle with short area accuracy, the layups. Like you got to 0 to 10. You got to put the ball on. You can't afford throwing too far inside or throwing it too hard. Those are completion type plays. So I think both guys at times struggle with short area accuracy. Haven't really seen much of the deep ball from Tyler Shuck in training camp, and I think Rattler obviously works the middle of the field. I do think Shuck has made strides. I think Rattler maybe the last 2 practices has been a little off. But I think this is a very important week as they go to the West Coast to see who ultimately becomes the guy to be the starting quarterback. Because I think after the first preseason game, even if they don't announce it, I think they're going to have a pretty clear idea who they want to go with for week 1.
Hey, I agree. And, when you talk about quarterbacks, you got to talk about a quarterback's best friend, which a lot of times is a good running game. And you look at the Saints running backs, obviously Alvin Kamara at the top of that list, arguably the best player on the entire team. Mm-hmm. But when you look behind AK, you got a lot of quantity, but this is the time to really figure out, is it quantity over quality or quality over quantity with the Devin Neals of the world, the Cam Akers of the world, there's so many, the Velus Jones Jr.'s, there's so many running backs behind AK, Sean. How is that kind of sorting out so far?
Well, I think it's probably one that we probably should have been talking about a little bit more up to this point. But, you got a quarterback competition that just takes center stage most of the time. But there's a lot of bodies back there, and there are a lot of players. Kendre Miller, in my opinion, is in the best shape of his career, and he looks it. He looks a step faster. He really does. He's much more decisive in his cuts and his reads, seeing the hole. Velus Jones Jr., to me, has been the guy that I wasn't expecting a lot of coming into camp, but he's been a guy where it's going to be hard to say goodbye to that guy if they ultimately choose he's not, if they ultimately think he's not the guy or isn't going to make the team, because he's been fast, he's got versatility, he can catch the ball, he's lightning fast. He called himself the fastest player on the team on Sunday, by the way. So big
I might
statement.
have to see a race for that.
Yeah, and then Cam Akers, Clyde Edwards Helaire, they're getting a lot of work. Devin Neal injured his hamstring, so that's something to watch. That's the draft pick. So is he guaranteed a spot as a day 3 pick? I don't think so. I think you'd like to keep him as far as more than cut him, but is he destined for the practice squad? We don't know. And then Marcus Yarns, the undrafted rookie out of the Delaware? Delaware, yeah. So I think it's been an interesting competition, and I think it's such a valuable competition. But if you're asking me, it's AK, Kendre, and Velus have been the top 3 guys so far out at running back.
I'll tell you what, no matter who it is, they need somebody to step up and fill that role, because I was looking back at Alvin Kamara's 2024 season. AK had 296 touches last season in only 14 games. In 14 games, 296 touches was his career high in his 8th season. Now he's about to be 30 years old. Pushing 300 touches for a 30-year-old running back, more times than not, it's not going to work. And you look across the league, outside of Saquon Barkley, who ran for 2,000, Kyron Williams, who just got a new contract, very young running back, like 23, 24 years old, and Bijan Robinson going into his 3rd season, nobody got more touches per game than Alvin Kamara. Again, someone who's about to be 30 years old at the running back position. So if you're the Saints, there's got to be an emphasis on finding that second guy. And I have a lot of hope in Kendre Miller, because the problem with Kendre has never been his talent. It's never been his vision, his ability to break tackles, his ability to make plays. It's been his ability to actually stay healthy on the field. And for the first time since he's been in New Orleans, Kendre Miller has not had any injury concerns so far this summer. Hopefully it continues on, because whether it's him, whether it's Velus Jones, whether it's Devin Neal, the rookie, able to come back from that hamstring injury, somebody's got to take some of the load off of Alvin Kamara's shoulders, especially with Taysom Hill being potentially out early in this season, because AK is just not going to last at age 30 doing what he's been doing.
I agree, and I'll take it one step further. Look, regardless of what you think of the quarterback competition, this is going to be a run-first team this year. It has to be. Because neither quarterback, they're going to, at least early on, they're not going to be so confident in either, whoever wins the job, to just hand them the ball, let them kind of, gunsling it all over the field. It's going to probably look a little bit more like a watered-down version of the Eagles' offense last year, where they were 32nd in pass attempts but first in rushing attempts. It's probably going to be something like that. So I think it's monumentally important to find that second running back outside of AK, because you're right, he's not going to last. AK is not a huge guy. To get that many touches is, to me, kind of diminishes his overall value, because he's more of an efficient guy where he gets a lot done in relatively low amount of touches. So I think that's ultimately where they have to go. AK, by the way, had a good day today. Really good day today. Had a couple catches. Rattler had a nice throw over the middle to Rashid Shaheed, and then a throw where he almost got picked off. It was a throw to Kamara. The next 2 plays, he went right back to Kamara, and Kamara had a nice run in that final team period with Shuck as the quarterback. So all in all, I think he's had a good camp, but I think this is one of the most important positions to determine, because it's not a starter, but it's very important in terms of depth at that position, because you need to have a guy for AK, but also I think you're going to run the ball a lot this year in 2025.
And one of the potential guys to fill that RB2 slot you talked to with Juan Kincaid earlier after today's training camp practice. We're going to let you guys in on that interview with Saints player and LSU national champion Clyde Edwards Helaire.
Everyone knows this guy. Back at home in the boot, former LSU Tiger, now with the Saints, and trying to add some depth and some experience to this roster. First off, how's training camp been going for you?
It's been going smooth. I would say the main thing was really just coming in and really just understanding the offense and then understanding what my role would be as far as within the offense.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, I think everything's been day by day. Like I said, we still been installing it every day. So being able to kind of put the building blocks on top of each other, and then from that aspect and point, just kind of get in where you fit in. Know how many guys that we have on the depth chart and on the roster right now. So it's more about just being efficient when you do get your reps and making those reps count.
Yeah. Speaking of that offense, what has jumped out? I know we talked to a couple of the quarterbacks. They said the language is maybe not as long as some other offenses. They said Kellen preaches tempo. What has jumped out about playing early on with this Kellen Moore offense?
I would say I really like the terminology and really just how simple it is once you understand what the words are. Right. And I feel like that's the main thing. The first being able to have Coach Kellen come in during OTAs and really get the terminology down. I feel like that was big coming into training camp, to where the training camp aspect of it is now you hear certain words, you really could just put them in a category and know what it means. And then once you start adding little things like ERs at the end of words or EDs, you kind of remember like, okay, it's in this category. Now we're doing this, and I think that's the beauty of it, is the building blocks are simple, so it makes you play fast.
Was it important to have clear communication from the coaching staff before you arrived here on what your role would be, and what do you think your role is in this offense?
Initially, last year I was brought into a different aspect and different group, so it was more of getting in and try to get that spark of knowing, okay, this is where I want to be, and kind of showcase upstairs, like, Clyde wants to be home and Clyde wants to play for the New Orleans Saints. So I feel like that was the initial thing, and then really just getting the coaching staff to understand who I am and what I can bring to the table once the bullets are flying, which is what I feel like I've done so far. Just kind of acclimate myself through training camp, and then like yesterday was the first time that we had, day before yesterday, first time having real life bullets in the scrimmage. So then you can kind of see the football player aspect come out, and not just guys looking at sheets, waiting on a play call to come in and then hoping they're doing the right thing as far as what was called. You can have football players go out and be football players, and I think that's what's being shown.
Talk to me about this running back room. There's a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all battling. There's Cam, there's you, there's AK, obviously, there's Kendra. I know Devin Neal, I thought just heard he had a little hamstring he's dealing with, so he's out for a couple days. A couple undrafted guys. Talk to me about this running back room right now and the competition going on.
I would say everybody brings something different to the table. I mean, and that's just not just saying it. I mean, you literally can line the names up and go, well, all these dudes run different ways and have different styles. And now I think it's more of upstairs kind of figuring out which bodies and which best suits the way of the angle of the offense that we're willing to go. Is it going to be run heavy first? Can we go pass heavy first? Is it going to be something where we need guys that's out in the flat catching passes, or are we just going to be like, okay, we need guys that are just pure Swiss Army knives that can do it all? Really, that's not our spot to say. It's just our spot to go out and showcase what we can do. And not only that, just showcase and show the entire NFL. Once we do get those opportunities, this is an offense that I feel just kind of ran across the board in the league. So it kind of gives us all that opportunity to show this is what we can do on the field.
How much have you enjoyed watching how this quarterback competition plays out?
It's something that I haven't been a part of for a long time. So being able to kind of have those different aspects, have those different cadences, have those different approach, the way certain guys approach the game is different. The way some guys, come into the huddle and spit out the plays is different. So being able to have three completely different cadences, you actually learn what you're doing as far as the playbook standpoint. But not only that, you start to figure out who is looking for certain things in the offense, as far as shots or check downs, or so it's like you start to mold towards who you feel works for you best, and I feel like that's what the quarterbacks are doing also. Whoever's leaning more towards their game, that becomes their hot target. So it's more of taking it with what we see. Whatever we like best is what we're gonna go with.
What about the flow of this training camp? It was hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes, hour and 25 minutes, hour and 40 minutes, and then bam, a 2.5 hour, 126 play beast of a marathon scrimmage. I don't know. I've enjoyed the flow of training camp because there hadn't been a whole lot of down, lethargic days. It feels like the energy's fresh, but yet he's getting a lot of work in.
It's really being able to take advantage of the time that we're not on the field, which is great, which makes it easy when you do have those, let's get on the field, because everything we've done in order to make the field easy has been done inside the building. So you can have those hour, 15-minute, hour, 20-minute practices when you know everything is going to be efficient from the off-field standpoint. And I think that's what's been keeping us fresh, been keeping the game flowing. And you can throw in 126 play scrimmage when you feel like guys are fresh. Mental fatigue is one thing. We're in the middle of camp, but just knowing that you can go out and do that and the whole team responded how we did, I mean, it just showcased that they know what they're doing from top to bottom.
You are one of few guys that can walk into this locker room and have instant credibility because you got those Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
How important do you think that is to add to such a young team and to a team that on the outside of this building not much is expected from?
Yeah, I would say I get that question or get like that asked a lot. And I feel like it's from the younger guys. You know, they always ask like, have you ever done this or have you been? And I always tell them, I'm like, I've played in some of the coldest games in the NFL, some of the hottest. I played some of the earliest games and some of the latest. And no matter what, you never know where the bullets are coming from. You just have to be ready for when they're firing. And it's really just having that calm demeanor and calm manner of them understanding like shit's gonna happen. It's football.
Yeah.
But getting in, reloading, getting to the next play, like it's I've been doing it 6 years and I'm like I've seen the worst of the worst and the best of the best. One on every level. So I'm not like here to like hang that over their heads, but I'm here to be like, we can do it. Yeah. It's as simple as I'm seeing what we're doing. I see the basis of it. We're molding to become, champions, and I'm no stranger to it. I've done it in high school, done it in college, done it multiple times in the NFL. So I feel like I have the DNA and I have the wherewithal of like knowing this is what we need to be doing, and I feel like we're on the right path.
Now you're from here. He's been here a long time. I'm from here as well. It's drizzling right now. I don't know if you can see on television right now. I kind of feel like the weather has mostly been friendly to us over here, but it's been hot. But now you're about to go to a picture-perfect weather in LA. How much are you looking forward to a couple of practices out on the West Coast?
I'm really looking forward to it. I would say, even telling the guys after the few practices that we had here, I'm like, we getting blessed, bro. Like,
that's right.
Like we blessed, most definitely. I mean, I'm used to it being like we going out on the Ponderosa and it's about to be, it's cooking. Like you're looking and you see the heat waves and it's not you're not even 10 feet away, So we've been blessed most definitely, but being able to get on the West Coast and I think a couple of us gonna have to get more water in than we think because it's gonna be a little cooler.
It can trick you,
But for the most part, I think everybody's excited. Just a different scenery, but knowing we're going out there to take care of business, and it's as simple as that. It's a business trip.
Interesting you say that because Deuce McAllister and I talked about that last year when we were out in California, and there was some soft tissue injuries out there, and he said guys aren't hydrating the proper way because they think because the temperature's cooler, they're going to be okay. Yeah. You really have to take the same approach out there that you do out here, maybe a little bit more.
Probably a little bit more. I mean, it's the natural thing that when you come out, it's hot out here. You're putting so much water in while you're out here, and I feel like a lot of that's gonna back off when you're at cooler practices, and then obviously when you're cooler in the hotel, cooler, just moving around, you tend to not drink as much. So I think should be a big emphasis once we get up out of here.
A quick question. How much are you looking forward to playing that first preseason game? A guy that's been in the league for a while now, but you still look forward to playing that team that's not your own team.
I'll tell you what, I didn't get as many opportunities last year with dealing with my whole PTSD thing and whatnot. Being able to put the pads on again and getting under the lights, like that's all I ask for. That's all I want. That's all I'm. It's something that I've been longing for a long time, and in due time, it's coming. We got like 4 days, and I don't think I've been more excited to showcase or do something or in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm ready to play ball.
I do really quickly want to touch on that because you've been a model on how you've dealt with that, handled that, worked through that, and continued to play through that. You know guys that may have dealt with the same thing that you've dealt with are watching you and learning, kind of trying to take the same steps that you took with all that. It's the role model part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. I would say, some days are harder than others, but it's really just finding that safe place, finding that safe haven. Me being able to put on a football helmet, I feel like is more than enough and more of a safe space for me. So that's why I kind of look at this as my outlet, and I know other people have theirs, but this is something that I lived through, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. So thankful for the opportunity. Obviously, the Saints, they backed me up and let me put on the pads and let me do my thing, but first preseason game is something that I've been looking forward to for a little minute.
No doubt. Best thing to be is be back at home doing what you do best.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing like it.
Appreciate you, Clyde.
Most definitely.
All right, Clyde Edwards Helaire. I don't know if you picked up on it. He's happy to be back home. Yeah. That issue he went through last year with the PTSD, he seems to have moved past it. I think coming home helped him move past it. It was a strange situation, but one he had to work himself through, and he did it. And look, this guy's got 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 rings. He's been through a lot of football experience, a lot of life experience. So I think he provides some value to the Saints organization, no doubt about it.
He's definitely a young veteran, and that's very valuable for a team with so many young players around it. And, he'll be one of the vocal leaders as this team moves forward into the preseason. They travel to California on Wednesday, and he may get some heavy touches in that first preseason game because Alvin Kamara, Kellen Moore said today, won't be playing.
It's huge. He's going to get a lot of work this preseason. Look, he's battling for a spot. Make no mistake about it. He is battling for a spot. He's got some versatility. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. Local hero. They love him in Baton Rouge. He has his LSU shorts on today. So Clyde Edwards Helaire, I look for a big preseason out of him. All right, that's going to do it for us. I'm heading out to the West Coast. I'll see y'all there. For Andre Johnson Jr., I'm Sean Fazende. We'll catch you guys next time on Overtime.